We're now in lecture 3, part 3 on Ingram. Here we're going to discuss two thinkers, Dworkin and Habermas. Dworkin's point is that consistency and moral core of constitutional law limit the interpretation of it. Habermas's point is that dialogical nature of interpretation limit the problem of access of interpretation. Now, the problem of access of interpretation can be seen as a problem of, well, just a kind of a theoretical error in interpretation, or it can lead to a kind of a free-for-all that just results in chaos. Chaos among the judges or even in the population if the interpretation of basic rights keeps changing all the time. So those are the real things that are at stake, it seems, in the discussion of the problem of access of interpretation. A philosopher of law, Dworkin, who thinks that the function and purpose of the judicial activity is to clarify, develop, and extend the original meaning of laws concerning basic rights, proposes that that interpretation is kept from going overboard by the first of the two elements of that activity in combination with the second. Here are those two elements, the first of which Dworkin is betting on as what will limit the access of interpretation. The first element of the interpretation of those laws is that it must focus on individual rights. Whether statutory laws are violating these basic rights or not. But not only must the interpretation just focus on individual rights, it must also stay consistent with the existing laws, with the already existing laws in some sense. It seems that consistency here is less with the past interpretation of those laws, although that is there too, insofar as the present interpretation must build on the past laws and achieve better what they were aiming to do. The consistency seems to be more with the other laws establishing basic rights at the time. Interpretation of one basic rights, say property rights, should not contradict what other laws establishing other basic rights, say free speech rights, are attempting to do. So Dworkin is thinking that just consistency of interpretation of any particular law with the interpretation of other laws, as well as with the history of interpretation, is going to keep interpretation from going out of bounds. The second element in interpretation is that the interpretation must focus on our best interpretation of respect for rational dignity of individuals as the guiding moral idea we can infer from the Constitution as such and as a whole. So these two aspects of consistency with the existing laws and other laws, as well as focus on the best interpretation of respect for moral dignity of individuals, should, according to Dworkin, keep interpretation on cue without it becoming excessive. An important criticism of Dworkin is raised by the next philosopher of law, Habermas. Habermas criticizes Dworkin by pointing out that Dworkin overlooks or forgets that judicial interpretation is a collective project among a plurality of judges and other aspects whom the judges consult, each offering arguments and counter arguments and thus checking each other's excesses. This prevents interpretation of basic rights from being excessive or idiosyncratic, according to Habermas.